Hey guys, today I'm just kind of doing something, a little special edition. We're kind of just taking you in my little Maven zone here with my Malaika TV ladies. As you guys know, they always say women rule the world, and yes, we do. But I thought it'd be good to kind of just have a little, just give you a dose of transparency. Because obviously, Maven Chronicles is all about featuring aspiring entrepreneurs and being able to provide you the information that you may have questions about, or just also learn about what's available in this network or on this network, and at the same time outside of it. So, I thought I'd just round up some of my ladies, because we were just having a lot of good discussions here on site, and I said, you know what, how about I give you guys just an online scoop of the type of discussions that we have, just that are non-scripted or whatnot. Well, nothing is scripted on the show. But I have beside me Mademoiselle Gwen Madiba. For those of you who don't know her, well, Google her. Google her. I'm a bit biased. Gwen is not only a great friend of mine, not only is she a sister of mine, not only she's also a great co-host, she's also a great partner of mine, also outside of this realm. So you'll get to hear all about her, and I hope you guys also watch her shows. Then you have our lovely ladies here who are there. We have Ela, and we also have the beautiful Melissa, who are actually women that you don't see, but that work behind the scene of this network. And the reason why I was chatting with them is, again, we're all young women, beautiful women, doing our thing, yes, doing our thing. and just doing your thing. We're just like, so I was just pitching it to them, and I was saying, what are questions that you have about entrepreneurship? And it just ranged into a bunch of different things. Like, Gwen and I have our strategic partnerships together, but we have different experiences, and we have Ela, who manages different areas of Malaika TV, and then you have Melissa. Well, you see her because she comes on every 5 minutes, right? So ladies, let me know, what is your perspective of entrepreneurship, on entrepreneurship?
Well, I guess when I think entrepreneurship, I think success. I think, people who are determined, organized, motivated. It definitely takes a lot of drive. And it takes a lot of ups and downs. And I think one of my biggest questions is how do you take those downfalls? Because it can't be, if it is, that's fantastic. If it's a straight line up and success all the way through, that's fantastic. But usually with success comes, failures, exactly. So how do you come up from those failures?
I think it's interesting because I was just reading and rereading some stuff lately where they were just I had this conversation with my fiance and then it was about how even in film and photography, to develop you need the negatives,
absolutely,
right?
Yes.
And you need that to be able to make you better, right? And it's really important, but also to understand that and it comes back to one thing that Grace and I talk about often, which is about not caring. Okay. And not caring too much about others and circumstances that you can't control.
Absolutely.
Not begging people for stuff, but making people understand your value and the value of your work. For that, you have to believe in your product, you have to believe in yourself and in your project. It's one thing to have an idea, it's another thing to develop it. I think that we all want to be able in the end to do something that we love to do, and I think that that's one of the key sort of ingredients of success, is to be able to do what you love. I enjoy making clothes, I enjoy the designing process, I enjoy working on Malaika TV, and I hope and know that it's what I'm going to keep on doing, because even if let's say I don't have, let's say I wouldn't have any money, I would still be doing it because it's what I love to do.
Yeah. That's it. And Gwen said it so eloquently. You want to be able to focus on what you love to do. You can't do something and not love it. And even when you love something, even when the darkness comes, you're going to know how to overcome it. A lot of times what happens is that we focus on what we don't have, but we don't remind ourselves of what we do have, because we don't know how to make something out of nothing. And sometimes we are richer than we think, because we may lack a few things, but we have plenty. So a big part of success is also knowing what you have, what assets you have, and you as a person, you are your biggest asset. Ladies, we're getting deep.
Yeah.
But we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll come back, because I like this.
watching MalaikaTV.com, the first Afro-Caribbean web television in Canada. New shows, new content, and a new image. Watch Malaika TV and enjoy your time.
Would you like to promote a social event, a music album, or a project in the Afro-Caribbean community? Even more, you just open a new business. It could be a drugstore or a barber shop, and you would like to attract more customers. The solution is quite simple. Buy an advertising space on Malaika TV and receive a bigger visibility in all the Afro-Caribbean community in Canada. For further information, please contact us on d.finance@malaikatv.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I personally like to thank you for watching Luca's live show. It was a wonderful experience. Now, for the next season, we're going to be focused on experiences. With my old guests and new guests, we're going to talk about new experiences that could be good and bad. Don't miss it every Monday, MalaikaTV.com.
This show is brought to you by our official sponsor. For more information, visit
And we are back on today's Maven Chronicles special edition of Maven's Corner. So before we wrapped up, we were talking about Shark Tank, about Kevin O'Leary and just being a shark and just defining your own definition of entrepreneurship. Melissa, you were mentioning something before the break about...
Yes, okay, so what I wanted to talk about, it's within topic, but maybe a little bit aside. So once you're successful, Gwen was saying, you know, how sometimes you have to, like, you're very, very nice, and so are you, Grace. Both very sweet people, want to please, want to make everybody happy. How do you balance out that personality and then the one where you need to be affirmative, you know, the one where when you need to say no, and then how do you deal with the haters? So those who don't respect
You
you.
want to open and you close?
Sure.
Okay. It's so good that you're asking this because, like I was saying to you girls, like Gwen and I have worked together. We have a partnership outside of this, and a lot of people ask us as women, how come we can work together so well?
Yes.
Because we have two different personalities, but our characters just complement each other so well. I'll open up because I'll let her close this, but let's put it this way: when you're a nice person, you're a nice person, and I always say to people, don't ever change any good quality of you over anybody, and never let anybody see you sweat. However, when you are a nice person, it doesn't mean you need to accept everything.
Okay.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yes.
How you deal with it is what makes a difference. Like me, for instance, like I said, I'm very nice. I'm very cool, calm, collective. A lot of people, you know, sometimes I may not look like that, but that's because I set the standard where it's like, you cannot mess with me. Sometimes I do have to draw the line. I don't yell or, you know, threat people or whatever the case may be, but you know by my tone that you cannot play with me. And sometimes you just have to toss people aside sometimes. But again, it's how you say it, how you diffuse it. But as a person, you have to commend every situation. I'm sorry. And dealing with the haters, I'm gonna tell you something, I don't see them because I don't look for them. You cannot worry about them. You have to bless and move on. Because I'm gonna tell you something, it's your duty as a good person to bless your haters.
Grace, parentheses, by the way, quickly, I should have had a book, like, you just said 5 quotes, like, right there. I could have quoted you. Hey,
No, but it's
I
true.
don't see them.
Because it's true, because if you see them, it's because you're spending too much time. But when you're building, they need to be following behind. I'm gonna tell you something, it's a good thing to have haters, because you know what they're doing? They're still following you. You're still paving the way. And at some point in time, they're gonna have to get on your team. And believe me, they get on your team. They have to, because they'll have to budget and be like, you know what? At some point, they have to come and be like, Melissa, you're doing good things. I just want to get on it. And if they don't, that's okay. It's on them. But you cannot focus on them. It's like the same thing in terms of focusing on the negatives and positives. They're part of the negative. Do you focus on that? No. You focus on what you have. Focus on those who love you and love them back. But for those who don't, you just know how to draw the standards, set the standards, so you don't have to deal with it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that what she's saying is absolutely right in terms of haters. It comes back to one thing that Yusufa once said is, first of all, we're not here to please everyone.
Okay.
You know, like you just can't. It's
You can't.
impossible.
It's
in the
impossible.
world that we live in. And he said one thing where it's like, in a world where God is not unanimous, don't expect everyone to love you. Don't expect your project to be everybody's project. right?
Mm-hmm.
You also have to, again, understand your value, the value of your product, the value of your efforts as well. And understand that for me, life is like a long road. I'm like a long African road. And
Minus the tambourine and minus all that.
Everybody knows that you can't cross a long road without having people pointing fingers at you.
Yeah.
Okay? Which comes back to picking your battles.
Absolutely.
You can't stop every time someone is pointing
To
fingers
respond.
at you. You just can't. It's draining, and you have to use some of the stuff that people say or do. Well, first of all, it's not always about the message. Most of the time, when you're given a message, you have to look at the messenger as well. If the messenger doesn't make any sense, then keep it moving. You know, there are critics. Critics are important to help
Absolutely.
you grow. However, you have to be able to make the difference between critics that are there to help you grow and critics that are there to crush your spirit. You know, and that's also important to know who's really there for you, because when you're doing your thing, a lot of people are going to be judging, and you have to accept this, but you don't have to listen to it. I mean, your opinion is your opinion. Everyone has the right to their opinion, but you also have the right not to take it.
Absolutely.
Or to take what matters for you, what's going to help you. Use love and anger as a motivation, you know? It's the greatest, like, motor for you to keep doing what you're doing, because love is so strong, and anger at the same time can be as strong, you know? So just do what you have to do, and the rest will follow.
And that's it, and you focus on what matters. I always say focus on what matters. What comes aside, you can't let that distract you. And going back to what you were saying, when you go on the Shark Tank, like I was saying, you have to see different people in the same context.
Yeah.
And also put yourself in that same context, and then ask yourself how you shine. At the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters. So entrepreneur to entrepreneur, then you know what defines you, what is an entrepreneur, it's up to you.
And Sweet Brown will say, ain't nobody got time for
Ain't nobody got time for this. Thank you so much, ladies.